What is going on? Welcome back to Jiu-Jitsu Outlet. I'm sitting down with a modern day Jiu-Jitsu legend, the man, Clark Gracie. What is up, man? Thanks for coming on the show.
What's going on? Great to be here, man. Thanks for having me over again to chat a bit. It's been a while.
It's been a long time, man. The last time we connected was a couple years ago when the show wasn't even about mental health or anything like that. And man, if you guys are wanting to hear the first interview I did with Clark, I'm going to put the link down below. But hey, I'm gonna dive right into this, man. I want to hear all about this. So, since you started training in jiu-jitsu, I know obviously you started at a young age, but what sort of an impact has it made on your mental health over the time you've been training?
Man, in so many different ways, being able to, I think one of the biggest thing is like being like emotionally stable. I talk about this a lot in even in my like relationship, with my wife is like controlling the output that you have, being in control, being disciplined with yourself. We're put in so many crazy positions on the mat, tangled up, tied in knots, and so many opportunities for us to think like it's over, I'm done, I'm gonna have to tap here, and then you teach yourself that if you stay strong and you keep fighting, sometimes you can fight your way out of it. A lot of times you keep working your defense, you go back, game plan, come back, and you come back stronger. You come back with a better exit strategy and just believing in yourself. So I think that same philosophy, that same concept can be brought to your day-to-day life where you're, dealing with all kind of crazy emotions and being a little bit more in control of your output. We're not in control of what comes at us all the time, but we can be in control of the way we express ourselves and the way we project our energy. Like someone who is, for example, let's say getting into a street altercation, and someone's threatening me, making me feel uncomfortable. Usually, the average person that doesn't train, doesn't have any experience with this, side of things mentally or physically, is going to have a aggressive reaction as well, right? And jiu-jitsu kind of helps to train you to control that output. But there's so many. It goes deep, so many mental benefits from continuous jiu-jitsu training, I believe.
It's like it helps you to not be so reactionary, I think is what you're talking about. Like so many people, man, anytime that something happens in life, they go right to getting triggered. They go right to that kind of negative space that it might put them in. But I feel like jiu-jitsu, it really helps people to take that deep breath before they respond, before they react, or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Just to have that mental calm, like you've been stuck on the bottom of the mount. The guy's pressing your face, try to choke you. You're holding on by a half an inch, to breathe and survive. And then all of a sudden you find a way out. And that's a lot like things in life. I'm sure we've all been in situations where we thought like, oh man, this is it. It's over. Whatever the situation is in your life, even personal life, professional life. And you find a way to surprise yourself and make things keep working. But so many in way other ways than in mental health. We proved it during COVID, right? Like during COVID, people said, okay, only essential workers, right? Only essential businesses. And so many people fought for the fact that jiu-jitsu is essential, right? I remember keep hearing that after about a month of being locked down, of being closed, and some places longer than others, of course. But people saying jiu-jitsu is so essential in our lives. And why? Not necessarily like, oh, because I need to maintain my beaten bolo, I need to keep my arm bars sharp. It's like the mental side of it, really, right? People start to go a little stir crazy, not having that output and that release, right? Just and that interaction with your peers as well, right? So.
Yeah, man, it's like it allows you to release all this pent-up energy that seems to be happening, inside of people. Like me, I was diagnosed on the autism spectrum back when I was 25, and it really helped me to understand myself a lot and really understand how jiu-jitsu benefits me a lot because it really helps me to get out all that pent-up energy. People who are on the autism spectrum, we have a lot of energy that just needs a release. And I think it's not just people on the spectrum, but a lot of folks, man. And I wanted to ask you about that. You've opened a beautiful academy out there in California, And I wanted to ask you about your students. So let's say that you have someone coming in to train, and maybe they're a white belt and they're just getting started. Can you talk us through what is their evolution like as they go through blue belt or purple belt? Like, how do you see that person improve in their own mental health?
Well, definitely confidence, discipline, self-discipline, like, just showing up. That's half the battle, right? You just got to get there. Proving to yourself that you're not just a rag doll or there to just get like eaten alive, by the upper belts and people who've been there longer. But, it's, I try to do my best, but it's been so long since I remember being in that scenario, since I was a young kid, like when I was starting out as a white belt for the first time. So my entry was a little different, but I can imagine being a grown adult thinking like I'm in control of my world, and then you step into this. You choose, right, to make that decision to step into Jiu-Jitsu Academy, face that challenge, put yourself in these uncomfortable positions, put yourself to be in a situation where you're learning again for the first time something brand new. That's I have a lot of respect for people that do that, and it's a beautiful thing to see people come in with thinking like either they don't have what it takes to be good and they just want to grow, and you see their self-confidence get stronger, right? And or sometimes the other way around, like they think that they can do way more and they become a believer, right? They balance out a little bit. Maybe they're overconfident, and then they're like, oh wow, I didn't think that this guy who's half my size could throw me around and get on my back and choke me. But they become believers out of it, right? So I like to say it balances you out. Either you you have too much confidence and it brings you to reality, or you're low confidence and now you've learned some things and it brings your confidence up to where you now feel like a little bit more comfortable in your own body, in your own head, and just projecting yourself, your energy, and having that confidence, that discipline.
Yeah, it gives people a realistic amount of confidence, if that makes sense. Like, if they're overconfident, it's going to humble them. If they're insecure, it's going to increase their confidence. And at the end of the day, it's going to get you to this almost like balanced amount of confidence where you're not going to necessarily be like cocky, but you're also not going to be totally passive, if that makes sense. Like, it's kind of a middling out
Right.
process.
And you realize how important it is to learn this stuff and how serious things can really be. Like you start to value a little bit more. I think you know give more caution to the things that you do. Like I'm way less prone to get in a fight because I think I do jiu-jitsu, because I know how bad things can get, how serious things can. You hear about fights happening, people getting way more hurt than was intended. Having lifelong battles, lifelong struggles because of one altercation, one bad mistake, and just to have that release when we go to the academy, we don't, as men, I think as well, having this natural primitive uh, instinct or emotion where we have to prove ourselves somehow, right? A lot of these people never have that release. So in jiu-jitsu, that gives us an opportunity to just do pure hand-to-hand contact and combat, right? And without warfare tools, we just have our bodies to fight each other. So it's a real reality check, and it brings us to that primitive, I think, instinctual nature of us, like protecting our family, protecting our home, fighting for food, fighting for things that now we take for granted so much that we don't even think about, right? We just I'm in trouble, let me call the police. I'm hungry, let me go to the grocery store, let me go to the restaurant. We don't have to fight for anything. I need a home, let me just buy this house, rent this apartment. And you know you see, like in the old movies, primitive times, natives had to fight for their land, defend their land, Indians, and how it was like a long time ago. And it's still going on today. You see the war in Ukraine at a whole other level, but it's still like, I can't compare, I don't want to compare it, but there is a certain uh, relation, I believe, in the feeling between protecting yourself, protecting your home, your family, and and what these guys in Ukraine are going on with right now, defending their country.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on something really big that, especially for men, there's this primitive thing that happens, especially when men get together. It's almost like we're all supposed to be training for something. Because if you think about it, millions or billions of years ago, when we were all the prehistoric tribe, like we would have all had to have been training constantly for something, whether it's hunting the woolly mammoth or defending yourself from another tribe. Like that was our whole existence for most of human history, honestly, was that.
Right.
And then now we're in this comfortable modern state where now whenever men get together, it's like, oh, well, I guess we're going to watch football, or I guess we're going to drink or something. I think that's why a lot of times you see groups of guys when they hang out, they just they watch sports. They watch some other people do something physical, if that makes sense. Like, whereas jiu-jitsu, it's such a healthy outlet because we're doing the activity, and we're training for something. And whether or not you've got a competition or something coming up, it does what you're talking about. It's like training your internal psyche that you're training. You're training for whatever that thing is, whether it's hunting or defending yourself or something, but it like satiates something deep inside of you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, people get together and watch UFC. Why is that something that draws people in? Why is that so interesting to so many people? I mean, it's something that's natural in us. It's ingrained into us. We go back to like caveman days. One caveman has a cave, other caveman and a couple others say, hey, let's take that cave away. He's got a really nice cave. Let's steal it. Let's take it away from him. Like kill him, slaughter him, get rid of him. Take his woman and kill his kids, whatever. I mean, we have this, I think, ingrained into us. Look at the animal world, right? It's like it's rough out there, and we have a very soft life. Right. And jiu-jitsu kind of just lets us play with a little bit of that ingrained primitive emotion, I think,
How do you balance that at your academy as a coach? Like, how do you balance wanting to make a nice, safe environment that's going to be welcoming to beginners versus wanting to keep it tough and intense? Like, where's the balance there for you as a coach?
Man, I think there's no big secret. It's just have fun with jiu-jitsu. We don't have to make it like a war ground. We don't have to make it where it's, everybody's staring each other down and the intimidation factor. It's already intimidating enough as it is. You can do it with a smile and it's intimidating, right? So do the best you can. People always tell me about how they love the vibe at my academy, and I've been to academies where the vibe has been different, but for the most part, I think jiu-jitsu has a good vibe culture, But I try to, I know it's tough coming to the academy for the first time, even getting smashed after a month, 6 months, a year, and thinking like, man, am I still going to keep doing this? I'm signed up for this. I'm getting my ass beat every day. What the hell am I doing? And should I keep doing it, or should I just be like, you know what? I got a little too roughed up that day. This is not good for my emotion, my self-confidence. Some people can't handle it, but we got to ease them into it. So if you come off the street first day and I throw you in with a hungry purple belt that just wants to wreck people and is training for competition, man, he's going to love to just keep tapping you over and over again. You're going to tap once a minute and, where your life is ending every minute and proving how you're not a sufficient fighter, or you're not as sufficient to defend yourself and your family, and this guy who maybe is smaller than you but way better than you could just come and just destroy you and take your house away. That kind of like that primitive, that feeling, right? And some people just like just run away from it, but those who have the guts to stick around, really, that's something that's that's what we have. That's our product. So we try to get people there step by step, step by step, so come in, learn some techniques. You're just going to do A, B, C. I'm going to teach you a Americana. You grab the wrist, you grab your wrist, you pull down, slowly execute the move. Your partner's going to tap. All right, now repeat it, over and over. Now try this takedown, nice and slow, learn how to understand a guard sweep, bring them to the ground fighting slowly. Because even just bringing the person to the ground is not the easiest thing, but taking it step by step and knowing how to introduce that person, kind of slowly breaking the ice, I think is the key, and making sure that person who's brand new doesn't get thrown on their head the first week, even though it happens from time to time. But give that continued support, let people know they're doing a good job, a lot of emotional support, and tap on the backs and smiles and welcome. Imagine the guy that's coming in, doesn't say hi to anybody, walks straight in, changes clothes, puts on his gi, comes in onto the mat, bows in, and doesn't know anybody, sits down, does his thing, gets smashed by somebody he doesn't even know, and leaves, without acknowledging the instructor, without the instructor acknowledging him, without getting that feedback. That person's not going to last very long. So it's the instructors and even the upper belts' responsibilities to cultivate this positive environment. I think it's something we got to work on.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times people, they get too focused on just wanting to smash everyone, and they don't have what you're talking about, where they actually build that relationship with the other people. And I think it's important to understand that, like, your training partners, you literally can't train without the training partner. Like, it's a two-way street in jiu-jitsu, and that's one of the beautiful things. Like, it's not like weightlifting where you can go weightlift by yourself. You got to have other people.
We found that out in COVID, right? Where it's like we tried to do like solo drills, solo training, and it's not the same, obviously, But it was great that we tried.
We tried. You got the grappling dummy out. It did its best, but you really need the other people. But hey, man, I wanted to ask about this. Just one of the other questions I had for you is, what was it like when you started competing at a higher level? Could you take us through that evolution? Like, what happened to you internally when you started competing at a higher level? Can you talk us through, like, what happened to your mindset as you grew?
Practicing, like, I don't know, something intense for a while, where I'm like building up all this anxiety. Like, I'm practicing, getting ready to do a bungee jump or a skydive, and I'm just getting ready. I'm getting on the plane. I'm looking at all the gear that you got to get ready for, like all this stuff. Like, I'm getting ready for this very intense thing, and through all the other belts, and then I have all this anxiety through all the other belts, and then I've built up a certain amount of confidence in myself, but you still have that doubt, right? But at some point, you just got to believe in your training, believe in whatever you're doing, all this equipment and all these people that have gone before you and told you, like, hey, we believe in you. You can do this. Now you got the tools that you need to get this job done. That's why you are where you are. You've graduated to where you are. Now go do it. You got nothing to lose. The only thing that can kill you now is like your own fear, your own mind, right? It's the mental game in the end, So just, we all believe in you. Your team believes in you. That's why you're here. Now just go jump off that cliff. You're ready. You're gonna live. Go do it. Go jump out of that plane. Go take that leap of faith. And that was, okay, I'm gonna go step out and get in the same division with Marcelo Garcia, Andre Galvão, and go try to shock myself, shock the world, shock these guys, And so I think in a way it was kind of interesting that, like, I felt less pressure, because at purple belt, brown belt, I felt like, man, I can't let these guys beat me. There's no way I can't let these guys beat me, And I did pretty well most of the time, but there's a lot of anxiety coming out. I think, thinking like, I can't lose. Maybe it's because of my upbringing and my family behind, and just getting used to those emotions. But conquering those emotions, I think, was a huge thing for me. Feeling like I can now learn to manage my elevated heartbeat, my adrenaline, that the anxiety, and being able to feel confident just to go out there and, hey, give yourself a chance to do your best. And it's like that common saying that is so motivational, is like, if you never test yourself, if you never try, if you never take the risk, you'll never take any steps forward, right? You'll just stay stagnant. You'll stay kind of mediocre. So you gotta push yourself. But of course, everybody only sees the end product. They only see you on the podium. They only see you getting your arm raised or losing, but all that training that went behind it, all those hours, it's just, it's really unbelievable now that I think about it, like looking back, and I felt a little bit of like, this is something I have to do because it's part of my proving grounds. It's part of like my career. It's part of like me being in my family. It's something that I feel like is necessary for me. It's something that I enjoy, but there's a lot of crazy emotions being bounced around. And to see all these people that don't have all that pressure, like, okay, you're going to make a career out of this. You're going to make your family proud because of this, all the ancestors that you've had before that done this. I'm really like, man, like all these guys don't have that pressure. I had the pressure. I feel like I had to go, but all these people, get up early and train super hard and spend all these hours on the mat and dedicate their lives to this. I mean, in part, a lot of the reason why I did it to the point where I did it was because of the history of my family, and I felt like it's something that I should do or that I needed to do, and so I'm really, I take my hat off to these people that really dedicate themselves and they don't have to, I salute them.
Yeah, it's man, that must have been so crazy kind of growing up with that sort of almost expectation on you that you would compete at a high level in this sport. What was that like, just growing up with that pressure?
Well, I think, it's either you crack or you make it, right? Sink or swim. But I think it was good for me in the end. I think it was good that I had that pressure, and it made me more complete as who I am today. So I think I'm grateful in the end, but it wasn't easy because, like I said, if I didn't have that pressure, maybe I would have just felt like, okay, this is this is not something that I have to do in my life. Maybe I can do something else. But it was great for me.
Man, I think that when you're growing up in a family of any kind, when you're raised up in that environment, you're programmed to believe like this is it, like this is just what we do. Whether it's a family that competes in jiu-jitsu or a family that does anything. Like, I think that that's the power of a family. And I just wanted to ask you about that. Like, are you going to be doing the same with your family? Are you going to be having them compete in jiu-jitsu, or are you going to be perhaps like steering them to go and do other stuff? Like, where's your head at with that?
Man, with my children, I don't know, man. It's when I think about what I've done to myself, and I've been very lucky, like physically, as far as injuries goes. I feel like I've been very intelligent and lucky as well, not to have serious injuries like you see so often. But I'm a little like, now being a father, I'm a little bit afraid of like putting my children in that environment. I've seen students. I'm also a coach, right? So I've seen all my students compete, and I've seen them all go through victories and defeats, and not just that, but like, just people trying to destroy the other person. And for me to like think about someone's gonna be trying to destroy my kid is kind of a hard thing to go through. I think, it's kind of a hard thing for me to wrap my head around. Like, okay, I'm gonna, even as he gets older, like, okay, he's now a grown man. Now he's gonna be fighting this other grown man. That grown man is gonna try to kill him. Do I really want him to be in that environment? I know it's good for him, in the end, but yeah, it takes a lot of, you gotta, like, again, like, let go, right? Just let go and believe in the training that your son has done, and believe in what you've done for your child. But I'm actually very shocked when I see like fathers calmly watch their kids compete and like get their arms and shoulders stretched out, and they like keep their composure. Man, I'll be like, it's kind of crazy for me to think about it. Someone doing that to my kid, not wanting to jump in and just stop the fight. But so I don't know. I think in the end, you just got to just let them make the choice. Really, you shouldn't. No one should be forced to do it. They got to do it if they feel passionate about it, if they love it, because I think that's, if they do love it, then they're probably going to do better at it than if they were forced to do it. And in the end, I felt like I had some pressure to do it, but I still loved it. I ended up loving it, and I'm passionate about jiu-jitsu. It was just the pressure got me into it, got me doing it. But I do really have a deep love for what I do, and not just for what I do on the mat, but what I do in other people's training and their lives, and how I see it positively affect their lives. I think that's an addicting feeling as a coach, as an instructor. But I think, for my children and for any other student, you just got to make it make it fun. This is a game. We're gonna have fun. It's a game. You're being tricked to play a game, actually learning something, that could save your life. That's extremely character building. You're being taught that you're just playing, but really it's something way more serious than that. But in the end, if we look at it as a game, we're going to be having fun with it. We're going to be creative with it, and we're going to more than likely thrive with our own creativity and our artistic abilities on the mat. And I like to see jiu-jitsu as an art as well, not just a form of self-defense.
I think that doesn't get talked about enough. Like, there's so much talk around all the other benefits of jiu-jitsu, like the self-defense, the weight loss, obviously the competition side of it, but not enough people discussing what you just said about how it's an art at the end of the day. It's meant to be some form of fun, really. It's kind of an interesting thing because it's this martial art that revolves around trying to kill people, but it's also meant to be a form of fun that you do with your friends. And it's kind of an interesting thing because on the one hand, you're literally playing with life and death, but on the other hand, it's not that serious because you're all just rolling around in some fancy pajamas in someone's garage or, in some nice warehouse or something like that. And it's not that serious, but it also is because you could literally kill someone with some of these techniques. It's a fascinating thing, like if you think about it.
Yeah, you see the kids classes, they're learning like all these lethal things, but
It's
they're
crazy.
they're just all having fun. They're all just like laughing, tapping out, getting taking down. They're doing all this wild stuff, but they're learning an incredible life skill. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing to have in your life for sure, in so many different aspects and angles. It's awesome.
It's powerful, man. Last question for you, and then I know we got to wrap this up. But just as jiu-jitsu is getting more popular, like we see people like Mark Zuckerberg is jumping in, Elon Musk allegedly training as well. Who knows what's going to happen like with this thing as it starts growing? But we're seeing it get a lot more notoriety. Where do you think jiu-jitsu can go? Like, what do you think it can actually do for the world if it becomes more popular?
Well, I mean, the beautiful thing is jiu-jitsu can be trained by anybody. So I think the sky's the limit, man. It's like it's not MMA. Not everybody's gonna want to do MMA, get punched in the face. But jiu-jitsu is something that's it's technical. It's like people say, playing chess, physical chess. So it can be very intriguing. It can be very intelligent, intellectual, strategic, and that's something that I think people fall in love with. It can be creative. It's not something that's set in stone. You can kind of do things your own way, and you're free to move your body in whatever way you think will work well for you. And there's extreme benefits, I think, in tapping into that side of creativity. So that being said, I think the sky's the limit. I think it can keep growing. You see these powerful people in the world right now training jiu-jitsu, and people want to see them train. I mean, it's something that's drawing attention. So I think it will keep growing. It is growing. The technical side is growing faster than we can even learn it, and we're seeing it grow more and more and more. Where it's gone from like 10 years, 15 years ago to be something that's like, what is that jiu-jitsu, to now it's kind of like, yeah, everybody knows what jiu-jitsu is. Everybody knows somebody that trains jiu-jitsu now. It's not something that's so foreign or so. Yeah, it's not something that's so foreign in our lives. It's becoming pretty mainstream, and so I think it will keep growing. It might be even in schools like it is in Abu Dhabi one day. It's in the regular schools as you're growing up, like PE class. So who knows? Part of your self-defense curriculum. People need now more than ever how to defend themselves. Need to know, right? Man, I mean, there's crazy things that happen in the world that are on the news. You see every day it's something crazy happening. So it brings that sense of, I do need to know a little bit of the basics of how to defend myself, how to protect myself.
Yeah, I think it has the potential to create a more confident and a more polite society where if more people understand this stuff, there's less chances of altercations happening because people understand better how to de-escalate a situation, and they won't want to get into these situations as much to begin with, like you were saying earlier, where once you've been in this sort of a confrontation, you know what can happen. You're a lot less likely to go out and seek a fight because you know that you can get your ass beat because it just happened to you the other night or something. It's different, man. It changes your mindset.
Yeah, I like how you said it brings more respect. It can bring more respect into our world. You know, I think you're right. People know the reality.
We need it, man. We need it bad. But Clark Gracie, thank you so much for coming on the show and for being a pioneer for our art and for being a coach and just everything, man, that you do. Tell us, like, if someone is in your area, tell us a little bit more about your academy. Where can people find it? Where can people come and train if they're in the area?
So everyone's welcome. My academy's in Central San Diego, and you can find it at clarkgracie.com. Just search for me. But if you're not around, you're not able to stop by and be a student or be a guest at our school, then I'm also building a jiu-jitsu library called clarkgracieconnected.com. And there I'm filming my classes and releasing a new technique every day. So I'm really proud of that site, and it's coming along, and I'm super excited to be able to just share with the world and hear what people have to say about, you know, our teaching here at the academy, and grow from there. I also have BJJ Fanatics instructionals out on kimuras and omoplatas, which is what I'm known for, and just the fascination about the shoulder joint. But yeah, I love to, you know, teach seminars and get out there and just be what I can in the world of jiu-jitsu as a teacher, as a competitor, and yeah, everyone's welcome. The doors are open always.
Well, we first connected at one of your seminars years ago at Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany, and I've been using the omoplata setups that you showed me ever since. So for real, like, I use it anytime I can. I look for that stuff. So I'm still using it today, even though we only trained for whatever that was, like 2 hours. So guys, if you're listening to this, check out Clark's information. It will change your omoplata game, change your game in general. I'll put all the links down below. And if you're in the area, go train, go check out his academy. Clark, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been an honor.